In today's video, I'm going to pick the all NBA selections for this year, 2024. As you see on the screen, there's 3 pointers that I'm going to base this off of: individual performance, team success right after that, because I still think it's very important that you're not putting up just empty numbers, you're actually contributing to winning, and position. Under the new CBA rule starting this year, all NBA selections will not be based off of positions. It will be positionless, which means you could literally put 5 point guards on your all-NBA team, or 5 small forwards, 5 centers. For this video, and for what I think is the best judgment to go by, I'm still considering position as a part of my criteria. With that being said, let's get into the all-NBA selection, starting with the third team. I want to say honorable mentions go out to De'Aaron Fox and Damian Lillard. These were 2 names that I was going back and forth with as to how maybe I should have one of these guys. They're doing good. But to start things off, I ended up going with Tyrese Maxey. I just love the fact that not only was he playing really, really good, but he was holding it down when Joel Embiid was out, kept the 76ers afloat, and still made sure that they were in the playoff contention, and they obviously made the playoffs. So I went with Tyrese Maxey. Next up, we got Kyrie Irving. As we all know, Luka Doncic has been balling out. However, Kyrie Irving has been right there as that perfect piece and combination partner that Luka needs. He's part of the reason why, a big part of the reason why Dallas Mavericks are at the top of the West. I gave him a slot for the All-NBA third team. I got Devin Booker as well on this team selection. This one was very tricky because I was going back and forth with, should I put Kevin Durant instead of Booker, or should Booker be here or second? It was between him and his own teammate. The Phoenix Suns, they still made the playoffs despite their struggles. And again, as I was saying, I still go by your individual performance and your team success. And Devin Booker checked off both boxes for me. I gave him a spot. Anthony Davis is next up. This one was relatively easy. AD was putting up really great numbers. And just on top of that, as I said, Lakers made the playoffs. Team success is there. But more importantly, I'm still going by position. I'm still taking that into consideration. I just don't like the idea of a whole all-NBA selection and just not even at least one big man on the squad. Out of the power forwards and the big men that I saw, AD pretty much stood out. You could argue he could be on the second team. I put him on my third. And for the last spot on this team selection, I picked Domantas Sabonis. This one was the hardest one. It was literally between him and Bam Adebayo. Initially, when I was starting this whole selection process, I had Bam. I like that he was a two-way player. Miami had made the playoffs. Again, I'm still considering individual performance. When I looked at Sabonis' numbers, what he was doing, and the Kings weren't a bad team. They were in the play-in. They almost made the playoffs themselves. So it was a big back and forth in my mind in terms of, man, who would I want? I gave the edge to Sabonis. If someone said, nah, Bam deserved it, I could understand why. Moving along to the All-NBA second team selection. This next guy that I chose, it was very easy. Jalen Brunson. Every time I looked up, he was having a huge game in the Garden. Fans going crazy. He's hitting bucket after bucket. I have no idea how he even kept the Knicks afloat with all the injuries that they had. A lot of time missed with OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and he just literally put the whole team on his back. Had to give him a selection. I gave him the second team. Tyrese Halliburton is who I got for this next one. And I can make the argument if the Indiana Pacers won 60-plus games, he would have been an MVP consideration. Averaging 20 points, 10 assists. That's really, really great as a point guard. I'm going to throw this one out here. The reason why I say he would have been in the MVP consideration had they won 60-plus games is because Steve Nash, when he was back-to-back MVP, he averaged similar numbers as Tyrese Halliburton did. The only difference is the Pacers weren't as good as the Phoenix Suns. Anthony Edwards, man, I had him on my All-NBA first team initially when I was doing this. At the last minute, though, as I was going over it, I actually swapped him out for somebody else, and I ended up putting Edwards on this second team. I'll tell you who that person is when I get to the first team selection. Look, if you have him on your first team, I could definitely understand why, as I did myself. However, I put him on the second team, all right? This is very subjective, but I'm going to go with what I truly feel, and this is what it is. So, yes, I got LeBron on this team as well. LeBron James is still putting up superstar numbers and contributing to a winning team. I got to be fair and still put him there. Don't know how he's still doing it at this age, but he's doing it. He deserves a spot in my opinion. Which leads into my next selection, Kevin Durant. very similar to what I was saying about LeBron James in terms of what he's able to still do on a winning team. I am still trying to go by position though, and when I was looking throughout these teams and players, they had Durant listed as a power forward. Now, to me, he's a small forward. That's what he came into the league as. That's the way he played. But this is the game that we're in today, and Phoenix likes playing small, so I guess they got him at the power forward position now. And finally, the All-NBA first team. This one was the easiest for me. Didn't take too long, aside from the one player that I ended up swapping out at the last minute. We're going to get right into this, though. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all of the 30-point games that he had this year, on top of also being a two-way player, doesn't just play one side of the ball. OKC being the best team in the West, had to put him here. Luka Doncic, just off of individual performance alone, it was hard to leave him off of this All-NBA first team. He's averaging near a 34-point triple-double, just putting up 2K-like stats and still helping out Dallas to win. Couldn't leave him off here. Jason Tatum is the person who I swapped into the All-NBA first team at the last minute. Initially, I had Anthony Edwards here. This is what I was referring to earlier in the video. Anthony Edwards right now is probably my favorite player in the league. Maybe that'll change, but as of right now, that's what I feel when I watch him. And he's getting a lot of MVP consideration as well. So at first I was sitting back like, man, you know what? I got to be objective as possible and still look at the fact that the Boston Celtics had the best record in the NBA, 64 wins. Jason Tatum is still putting up huge numbers, doing his thing on the court. He's also a two-way player like Anthony Edwards. I just think this was the most fair selection that I could do. I gave it to him. Now I go to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hope y'all haven't forgot about him already. Obviously, he's injured during this year's playoffs, at least in the first round. However, the Bucks were still in the playoffs for a reason. Out of all the big men that I saw, because I'm still taking in consideration position, he's the one that stood out the most. Well, specifically with the power forward position, if we're just looking at that, it was clearly him at the top. I got Giannis Antetokounmpo on this list. And last but not least, Nikola Jokic. Clearly the best center in the league, or if not, you could throw Embiid over him, but he's obviously one or two. You could say even best player, forget position. However, I wanted another big man on this list. I got Nikola. The only reason why, speaking of Embiid, he didn't make any of these lists is because the NBA has that 65-game rule now, and Embiid didn't play at least 65 games, and that's also why he wasn't in the MVP consideration. However, I got Nikola Jokic. This is all my NBA teams now. 1, 2, number 3. Let me know what y'all think. Who you believe deserves to be on it. Who doesn't. Would you switch around the players? Holla below in the comment section. Peace.